I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've done 500 renovation projects over that period of time. So I've got a little bit of experience here. So just a little bit about what GRID is. GRID is kind of a global community of networking. So most of you guys have seen this, but we're not gurus. We're just people trying to help people do deals, trying to connect people together, and our mission is really to help build wealth through creating impact through real estate. And I think for me, it's been a huge catalyst for me building wealth, and I just love sharing what we've done and how to do that. So that's really what we're all about. And we're all on a wealth building journey, and the goal is to build income by flipping our building, by like building and buying these assets and generating enough passive income to cover our expenses. So in the end, ultimately, real estate is an investment that can replace your general income as a passive investment. And I think most of us are trying to figure out how that journey works and how we can get there. So 7 levels of wealth and what the income flip really looks like. First of all, it starts with our mindsets, and we need to have the energy and create an identity that, hey, we can do this because you can. We start with some sales and marketing on level 2. Really got to get out there. I heard Ian say that he's like reluctant to make the sales call. You just call these people. Bottom line is the more you communicate with potential sellers and buyers or lenders or real estate agents, the easier all of that becomes, and eventually start putting deals together. Eventually, you may have your own business, your own LLC that will, keep teaching you guys how to do is, setting that next phase up, and then you start making investments, and eventually you can start leading people, and you can expand, and you have just an incredible impact on both your life and those around you. And that's kind of how that whole flip works. So who are we? Why do we run this group? And what do we want to accomplish with you guys? Really, we're just another group of real estate agents and investors that are trying to bring people together, right? And we want to be able to network with people who are looking and like-minded, that are looking to actually really do some real estate investing. I have a group of people that I already do investing with, and it's been fun to watch them grow, and looking forward to kind of just broadening that network. And it's been interesting. Ian's been to a few meetings. We're already looking at some deals together, trying to figure out what the next steps are. I do have 2 puppies in that room, and they're whining, so that's what you hear.
They hear me now.
Yeah. So hopefully we can accomplish, giving you guys a little bit more confidence if you haven't already started investing, to go out there and invest in real estate. And then potentially just connect with those in the room so that maybe you guys can do a deal together or find a deal through the group. I gave a little bit of my introduction. I've been in this business 25 plus years, and I have been flipping houses and investing in single family, duplexes, multifamily, and commercial real estate for almost 20 years. I used to own a construction company and a design company. That's still the sign on the door. I've sold that, and we've moved that business to McFarland. But I have a lot of experience in the construction background, design background, and obviously with real estate investment. Amani Jones.
I'm Amani Jones. How you guys doing today? Most of you guys know me. I started working with John 5 or 6 years ago. Getting old. I mostly do commercial real estate, retail, industrial, multifamily, stuff like that. And I do mostly off-market deals. So, and I'm not scared to make sales calls. I pretty much cold call all day. So, if anybody's scared to make sales calls, just let me know.
Talk to Amani.
Yeah. Mine is a dog on the bone. And that's what it takes. I mean, and everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. Amani's strengths is being able to make that initial phone call. When people are really got call reluctance, he does not have it. It's a little skip that happened in his brain, just like didn't get that gene.
You see me going on
Michelle Corolla.
So I've been in real estate for close to 5 years as a realtor, and on John's team, I design our properties, stage our properties, try to help find properties, manage our social media, just all those different types of things for the team. So.
Yeah, Michelle's really savvy with social media stuff, as well as just loves design, and so she's a great eye for us. I would say, I don't really care what it looks like. I just need to make sure that we do it at a reasonable cost and have the design look like something somebody's going to buy. So it's
I've
great
never
to have
heard
her.
that before. What
Because,
was that again?
I just need it to be affordable and profitable.
Exactly.
So we're going to go around here just real quick, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself. You can go ahead and answer these 4 questions. Tell us a little bit about who you are, why you're here, and what you're looking to accomplish. Or Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin Campos, Bunbury Realtors. I'm a broker with them. Been doing it for 23 years. I've been with Bunbury for 9. Done some investing in the past. Worked with a lot of investors, and I started a company last year called Probate Help Wisconsin. That I got so busy that I wasn't able to fully launch it, but I'm working on it because I work with a lot of probate, estate, trust, divorce. I've now worked with attorneys and financial people and CPAs and whatever. So I've just been also referred. I think I'm on my 6th or 7th one this year already. So I'm interested in. I can find those kind of properties. So when I met Michelle, she told me about what you guys are doing, and sometimes I just have to let them go and can't find the right people to buy them, and I present to the families different options of, list it, fix it up, sell it, or an investor will come and flip it. So I give them those options, and so I'm looking to meet new people and look for.
I think there's a lot that you and I can talk about.
Yeah.
Potentially do some business together. Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is James. I'm just a small real estate investor, mostly small multifamily, and then I just recently started a property management business. I've got 60 units under management now, and just working with John, trying to grow that, do a little spin-off of our own.
I'm Jake. I do not currently invest in I don't have any investment properties yet. I'm looking to start. I just come here to pick everybody's brain.
Yeah, my name is Ed Zamaron. I'm a mortgage lender. Brand new, I see a lot of my investors come with me, and I'm giving people strategy with lending. I gotta get involved now, right? So, and then I come across a lot of deals as a lender, and I'm like, possibilities here. I'm a subprime lender, so by the time they get to me, there's possibilities there. So it kind of makes me, I want to network and learn and maybe get in and start investing myself.
Just a little bit of my background. I started as a mortgage loan officer too.
Okay.
And I actually worked for a subprime mortgage company for a while, and then went to a conventional loan company that did construction loans. So that was just an interesting path to learn how to get financed deals and what was a good deal and what wasn't. So it's a really good spot to be in. You see a lot more deals come across your desk in the mortgage department than you do as a real estate agent. Mostly real estate agents get their start, maybe they have 3 deals in the first year or something like that, whereas a mortgage lender will have 10x of that typically. So you're able to see more deals, you're able to see how those underwrite, and you're able to understand what banks are looking for or not looking for. So it's a really good lens to look through to become an investor. So congrats, that would be great. Yeah.
Ian, I don't have any investment properties yet either, but I'm looking trying to figure out how to get some investment properties as far as like maybe rentals, multifamily, and stuff like that. If I gotta do some flips, sure, but I don't really have any knowledge as far as contractor work or anything like that. And then I'm now actually working to get my real estate license. Start with that.
Awesome. Just a little background on Ian. Ian he's just getting started, but he's been burned out on properties already and sending them to me. And I think to some degree you're like, am I wasting your time? Or like, what am I doing? Is this okay? It's great because just him thinking about it, shows me that he's really engaged and likely, would even present me to do an opportunity and find a deal together. And if it's the right deal, I always am able to make things work. So you just never know when all that comes together. So just one of those things that I always say that the money always finds a good deal. If there's a good deal, the money will be found. You won't have any problem with it. So you got to keep looking and analyzing the deals to determine what they are. Cool. Thank you.
I'm Teresa. I am a realtor with Exit. I'm also an investor. Me and my husband have 4 properties, 13 units downtown. I do a lot of those midterm rentals, so That's how I make my cash flow. I am really hoping to learn more about construction because that's, I feel like, a huge piece, like a knowledge gap for me. So this class today is good. I really want to do a flip. I feel like it's going to be like what I need to learn about construction a little bit more. And like I'm always looking for small multifamily value add real estate. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, that's our group. Thanks everybody for coming and sharing. Just a couple of things. We are recording this, and also we're giving you guys advice. We're giving you have to know that this is not a pro forma. We're not telling you exactly what to invest in, so just understand that this is something you need to do your own analysis on, and that's what the legal stuff is all about. And then again, we're going to be releasing some of the photography and the filming if you just make sure you don't have a problem with that. We're going to be talking about remodels here today and renovations and projects. So I'm going to show you some pictures of some things that we recently did. These are actually 2 properties that are, both of them are under contract. One of them is one on the right-hand side here, is one that's under contract and closes
The 7th.
closes on Friday. So, and then this one just got under contract, and we're just working through some contingencies right now, and that should be closing at the end of the month. So, you know, you can see these are both full, pretty much, this one was a full exterior remodel. This was really just a cleanup. Wasn't too much there other than like painting doors and shutters. Overall, just a general fix-up. And the interior of this next one, these are 2 different bathrooms that we had redone. Obviously, you can see one of the things that we've been doing a lot of is to kind of give you an idea. That looks like a really cool tile floor, doesn't it? It's actually like a high-end linoleum. And actually people really like it. It's so, and we do a lot of properties that are, you know, 400,000, 350,000, 250,000 for an end price. And so you got to really watch how you do your remodels so that you can get the right bang for your buck as you're doing it.
That's the Stoughton bathroom.
Yeah, what did that one sell for? 270, I think. Well, is that just
That's
one
one bathroom.
bathroom?
It's Stoughton.
Okay. Another one, before and after, pretty clean. I mean, modern look. Michelle's, you know, obviously doing the design here, and again, linoleum floor. It just looks, you know, a lot nicer than that, doesn't it? Another one here, this full kitchen. You can see something that we did here is removing the soffits so that you can go floor to ceiling, just little design elements that just make it nicer. Kind of gives you more cabinet space and really just like makes the kitchen feel a lot larger. You can see we did the same flooring throughout the whole living space. Again, one of those things that just makes the room feel bigger. So little design features like that. This is, again, that's still the property. Really clever design here on this wall here. We tore it apart and basically framed it in so that there was a low entry point there. So we had to keep it, but we still made the kitchen feel really open. Those are a couple of just design looks, but what we need to think is you need to think about the time and desire to go look for. You can't look at every house, right? So how do you handle the labor that's got to go into manage these types of reconstructions? If you go and look at every home and then try to do a full estimate, you'll never actually get a chance to buy any of them because you'll be drowning in paperwork and you'll be drowning in trying to get bids, and by the time you get a bid out, somebody else has already bought the house. So you need to be able to be efficient. You need tools to be able to estimate and analyze these potential costs. And what we've learned over the years is you can get kind of typical costs with square foot pricing for different remodel structures. You know, depending on your understanding of construction, you can get closer and closer to that actual price and be within $10,000, or you know, maybe depending on, maybe it's 5% or 3% of your construction budget, depending on how big the budget is. So you can make an assessment of that property without having to do contractors in there and all that. Because bottom line, if you have to do that in every house, you'll never end up buying one. You'll end up pissing off your contractors because contractors don't want to run around to all these houses and give you all these bids, and then you never buy the house. So it's really important that you have a tool to do that, and that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about. the more you know about these things, that obviously you've got to do your own research, and you've got to figure out. AI has become such a powerful tool to be able to do this stuff. And the stuff that I'm going to share with you is pretty much like you could go on AI today and just like type in what are the types of light remodels to heavy remodels and their dollar per square foot. None of this stuff is all that hard to find anymore. So, even if you don't have all the information that you feel you need, you can usually find it. So what you want to do is you want to look for past listings. If you're a real estate agent, you can get into the market, you can look for past listings and get the square foot of the building. The square foot of the building is a really key component to helping you estimate what your costs are going to look like. And then you determine what that square footage, what square footage you're actually going to remodel in that home. So, for example, if it's a ranch and it's 1,200 square feet, you're basically going to base the remodel on 1,200 square feet. Unless you decide, hey, I got to finish the basement, now you're going to base it on that. And there's many different ways to find that square footage. You can go into Google Street Maps these days, and you can actually measure the size of the house by just like taking a ruler and drawing it on the map. Not the most accurate way to do it, but it'll get you in the ballpark, right? Sometimes you can go to tax records. Sometimes you can find past listings. Aerial views on Google Maps will do it. Sometimes there's photos online you find on Zillow, and you can use those to measure, but you really got to use those tools to be able to determine what it is, that square footage, so that you can actually do this next step, which is going to be understanding what your remodel is going to be. So it should be without saying, never buy one of these properties sight unseen solely on your estimate. The goal is to prioritize these leads and make revocable offers so that you can finalize those offers after an inspection. So we're making these preliminary offers, and you tell the people, hey, I haven't been here yet, but I can probably make an offer at this price. And this is what I'm looking at for a number. Based on your assumptions that you had made about the square footage and the remodel, and when you're asking them questions like, what's the condition of your house? Sometimes they'll be, oh, it's really nice. And so you're gonna put in a small remodel, and then when you get there, you realize the house is totally torn apart. Well, obviously your offer has to change. So you really don't know until you get there, but at least you've had a conversation with that person about the quality of their home. You can make a determination about the remodel cost, and we'll go into a little bit what that looks like. Got a few more pictures here. Just kitchen remodel with a great room. Another great room. This is the one that we had on Highway 19 that just got finished. Another one that's just got finished. This is Hyacinth, yeah.
Gosh,
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You forget.
So 4 levels of renovation, right? So now we've determined that what you want to do is get as much information about a property before you go ahead and get bids and all that kind of stuff. You're just basically going to make an assumption, a few different assumptions. What's the level of renovation and what's the square footage you're going to renovate? The first one is a rental grade renovation. Basically, you're fixing the things that are broken. Carpet, paint, minor repairs. You're doing like white appliances or cheap appliances, low cost tile, Home Depot fixtures. Your range is going to be between $18 and $30 per square foot. And so if you got a 1,200 square foot house, you just punch those numbers in, and that's going to give you an idea of what you're going to be dealing with. And you'll know this too about what your exit strategy is with the property. So if you're buying in Beloit and you think, well, in Beloit I buy a lot of rental property. So I know that I'm going in, no matter what, it's going to be a light remodel unless the house is completely trashed and I can't. And so I'll have a conversation with the seller before I ever go down about what it is that they feel that the house needs, and I'll make this assumption. And ultimately, that's going to give you the ability to rifle through 20 houses in a week, as opposed to I'm looking at this one house and I've got to make a decision on it. I got to do all this work and get all these bids to do that. So this helps get there. So minor upgrades, rental grade repairs, anywhere between $18 and $30 a square foot is what we typically use. A simple rehab, basically you're looking at replacing all your fixtures in their existing locations, but you're not moving things. Because once you start moving plumbing, once you start moving electrical, you need permits and you need electricians to do that starts to get into a whole different level of remodeling. You're talking about interior paint, entry-grade carpet, maybe hardwood floors, refinishing them, or putting in an engineered hardware like we have here. Maybe you're doing an entry-grade granite in the kitchen and just replacing the countertops, but you're likely not doing cabinets at that point. You're including approximately $4,000 for extras, maybe fixing a roof, maybe you're doing an AC unit, but you're not replacing the roof entirely. You're not doing siding, windows, and a full upgrade on all the mechanicals. You're looking at $48 to $75 a square foot. And again, you're using the assumptions that you've built in by doing a measurement from online or pulling them off the MLS to get your square footage. And you've got your third level of basic remodel. This is more like you're moving a wall. You're replacing all the cabinets. You're completing some minor removal of plumbing and electrical fixtures. Reconfiguring the kitchen or bathroom a bit. You got $8,000 allowance in there for extras like a roof or HVAC, driveway, and then you're likely spending somewhere between $65 and $100 per square foot. Again, pretty simple, basic remodel. And then the last one is you're doing everything. Now this is what we're doing in Sienna Circle. This is the Lake Geneva property that we are working on. That started at $370,000 and is currently at $470,000 after a week and a half of remodel. So we've gone up $100,000. And that is kind of normal in that world. To have, especially, this is a 6,000 square foot home. It's on 5 acres, and we have to do everything to make it be, it's a $1.5 million home in the end. And so we have to make sure if it's going to hit that price that we don't leave anything behind. So we're replacing furnaces and AC, and we didn't think for sure we were going to have to do that. We had some contingency budgets in here. So it's just like you have so much there. But basically, your roofs, your AC, your HVAC, your decks, everything outside, complete repair. Probably some structural issues, you're redoing all the plumbing, you're reorganizing things, maybe moving some walls, and you're at $86 to $200 a square foot. Now, here's what I would say. That number, $86 to $200 a square foot, and all of the numbers on the low end of this are actually not real indicative of our market. We are almost always on the high end of that. Dane County, Milwaukee, even Lake Geneva and those vacation areas, like I would venture to say we're probably going to be $250 a square foot in this Sienna house. It's just, the reality is, the contractors here are more expensive, the houses here are more expensive, so we are just in an area where we typically spend more money than what you're going to see elsewhere. So you want to err on the side of caution on your remodel side, and unless you have a really great contractor that's already given you these square foot prices, some of them are real reluctant to do that, some of them are really good at it, and it really depends on who you're working with. So trying the best to actually get somebody that you know, a contractor that maybe they're not a general contractor, maybe they're a flooring guy, and they actually know some guys who are, an electrician, a plumber. A lot of times you don't need a general contractor, especially if you will in a major remodel for sure. You probably do in a basic remodel, but you don't need it in a simple rehab, and you don't need it in a rental rehab. You just need a couple of tradesmen. So understanding how that can impact your remodel is really important. And the timeline changes a lot, obviously. If you're doing a major remodel, that's going to take 4 to 6 months. If you're doing a basic remodel, you're probably looking at 60 to 90 days. And then I don't think there's any remodel that I've done in the last couple of years that isn't 30 to 45 days, even basic. And Michelle was like, why can't we get this done faster? Because people take time, like just coordinating even 3 trades to get in there and out of there. This isn't HGTV, and we can't bring in 4 different crews at the same time working on top of each other. They just don't do that. That's television, that's not real. So understanding that is really important. That's basically it. So estimating your square footage, search MLS for current past listings, use the estimated total square footage number from the listing. Be aware of value per square foot, finished and all below grade square footage. So understanding what that is. When you're looking at total square footage, you are looking, that's basically everything in the house that's finished. And that would be the basement included. And usually you're only going to get 50% of the value of the basement square footage. Now, that can change if you have in a really nice area where you have a basement that's got 9-foot ceilings and it's all exposed. You could almost get 80 to 90% value down there. especially if it feels just like the upstairs. But if you're in Madison and the house has got a basement that's got 8-foot ceilings or 7.5-foot ceilings and it's finished, I mean, it's less, probably right around $50 a square foot, 50% of the value of the other square footage, maybe less. And so understanding that impacts is really important. I'm sure you see this on appraisals. It's really important to know that. Do you deal with a lot of new, or I should say, renovation type mortgages? Are you guys doing that?
Just straight.
Yeah, purchasers or rate term refinances, cash out refinances, that kind of stuff. And actually, when you end up getting into some of the construction stuff, that is really helps you when you're understanding investment real estate. So, know these numbers are usually estimates put in by agents. So if they're in MLS, they're going to be close, but they're not going to be exact. So you just need to know that that's not always exactly the number. So estimated square footage from tax records is also another thing. We don't get a lot of that data in our tax records. Sometimes it is there, especially if there was a listing prior that will pull in and you'll see it. But some areas do have total buildings area in tax records, so it can be another area for you to get it. So it's important to kind of understand what that is, making sure that you're getting the highest logical number of square feet that you intend to touch inside that estimate when you're making these assumptions. You can, again, use Google Maps. That's another one. You're doing the exact same thing. You're measuring all the area. Try to eliminate the garage square footage so that's not there. But again, trying to take every finished square foot that you can if you're going to be using these estimates to do your numbers. You want to try to compute these on the higher end of things, but you also want to be fair to the investment, because if you're computing, the square footage based on the garage square footage, now you've just estimated your house $30,000 over its construction budget. When you make your offer, it's too high, or the construction budget is too high, and your offer is too low, and now you're never going to buy a house. So you got to know that. So final thoughts on estimating square footage. MLS listing measurements are often provided by agent who do need to be verified. Tax records come directly from jurisdictions, but aren't always there in different counties. And one of ours isn't seen all the time. Google Maps, your measuring tool is pretty useful, but you got to just be careful on making sure you're measuring the right areas for that square footage. And then you can use these low-fly aerials as well. I've never done that, but it seems like it's becoming more popular. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of years, AI is doing all of that for you. If you're just like taking a picture of the house and it's just like, there it is. It tells you exactly what the square footage is. It's pretty amazing. So question for you guys, who is using AI right now to do analysis on properties or analysis in general? Okay, and then I should say, who's using AI in general? Yeah. So what AI is your favorite?
I prefer Perplexity.
Perplexity, okay.
I use all three.
Okay.
I just switch them out for different things.
Okay, anybody else?
I use Claude.
I use Claude too. I just started using Claude Pro.
I haven't played with that one yet.
It's insane.
Dude, it's
Yeah, is it better?
Yeah.
The whole reason I like Perplexity is it's like a switch between different models in Perplexity. You can have it run the same thing on your different models and kind of get the different answers and compare them all, and I can kind of get a general reality out of that. Because some of them hallucinate. So
they all do.
3 of them and 2 of them
They're all
say something that's more
We all
realistic.
You gotta open them up in your own terminal, like Claude.
Yeah.
Open it up in like its own terminal and you can use everything. That's usually good for research.
Okay.
The Claude's really good for coding.
Yeah.
Claude's great for coding.
But
Yeah, Claude. I'm coding it. My wife's gonna give me a shirt. She's about to Amazon some vibe coder.
yeah. It's amazing.
It is. It's crazy.
The way that Claude redoes my spreadsheets, like, it's unbelievable. The ability to reanalyze the stuff that I've analyzed, to grab data, like I was using it for a commercial listing today. We were doing an analysis on an industrial property here in Sun Prairie, and I basically pulled all the data in from the listing, pasted it into Claude, and then just told me, like, I want to know what the highest and best uses of this space would be if it's currently vacant. I want you to analyze all the data here and let me know what you mean. It was an incredible amount of knowledge. And then I'm like, can we summarize this? Because this is long as shit. But it's pretty amazing. It's, it saves me easily a couple hours a day of research.
Are you pasting the link, like the website link into Claude and saying, like, check all this for me, or how are you doing it?
Tim, you can do a website link, but you have to, if it takes a login, it'll get firewalled and it won't let you.
You really look like you want to jump in and say something here.
Like,
The best way to do this shit, like to analyze properties, is like you get all the data, you download it into like some kind of Excel files. I do it all the time for like, cause I do like Milwaukee, Madison, Green Bay. So I'll pull all the comps in an area, or like all the comps in a market month over month. And if I'm looking at something specific, I'll call all the comps. I'll do all the comps in like that specific area. And then I'll have it look at something month over month. So like I have like a Milwaukee specialist, and like is specializing in industrial in Milwaukee, and I'll upload something month over month. And then I'll ask it for the submarkets in Milwaukee. So I'll define submarkets in Milwaukee, and I'll say, okay, I got this property. What is the price per square foot or price per unit for multifamily that we're looking at in this market on average? What is the lease price? So like if you can, the more like precise you can get with the data on this stuff. Same thing will work for construction budgets too. Like we were kind of talking about how to do this. So for a beginner, it's a bit more easy, but like you can have it scan like Lowe's and good Home Depot and all that stuff, and you can get like an average price per square foot for like flooring or for these like for paint or something like that, and you can get super clever with how you use it. It's just all about like data input. And it's not that hard. It's really not. Like I figured it out in like a weekend, and I'm not that tech savvy. Like I'm not.
Well, the best part about it is when you don't know what to do with it, like you ask it. And it's like gives you the answer. You're like, oh great, that was fantastic. Now then you're like, oh, this is what I would need to do. And then you go, well, could you do that? Sure. You're like, shit, this is amazing. Actually, what is the new one that you showed me at VB Code or?
Oh, VS Code.
VS
So VS Code is like a terminal. That's a little advanced. You
Yeah.
run it out of its own thing, so you can keep all the files super organized.
Yes.
Is that like Cloud Projects?
And
It's
so
like-
I use
it's
projects. This is projects on steroids.
Yeah.
And I thought, when I first started using projects, I was like, this is amazing. What a project really is you just give it its parameters that you want, whatever it is that you're working on. So like, I want to get better at, I need a better sheet for analyzing 1031 exchanges. And I want to have a property that I acquire, however many years ago that I acquired this this price, and it's been depreciating at, it's a commercial property, so we bifurcated it, however. And then we're going to do a new real estate asset, and I want you to compare the two and give me, what the lazy equity is doing and what the new equity would do. And then I ask it that question, it'll start the sheet, and I'll say, all right, now I want you to build me a format for this where I can actually move sliders across and be like, the property is going to be, if I range from 10 years or from 0 years to 25 years that I've owned it, and I can just like move the slider and it'll change the depreciation schedule and the value. It's unbelievable. And you basically, now when I come back to that project is always there, and when I ask it a question, it'll stay inside of that project, and it's not like hallucinating against other things that you're doing. And I know that other ones do that too.
Complexity does that too, with the whole building it with the sliders where you can actually play with the data. I haven't been able to get Complexity to do that. I don't know if that's a Claude thing specifically, but that's
The coding is just unbelievable.
I'm gonna have to play with that. Yeah.
And then what this VS Code does is it just makes that even more organized. And the way I've described that, it's like having a hacker. So if you're like, I need you to go into this program, and it'll say, I don't have permissions to go into this program. I'm like, I give you permission. And it just like goes in.
It's pretty wild.
I'm like, oh my gosh, is this what people are hacking into like the CIA? Because that's what it feels like. I need you to hack into Paragon and get the data. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Like, is this okay? Can I ask you to do this? Yeah, sure. So that's a pretty interesting thing, and I haven't gotten as deep into that as I'd like to yet, but it is pretty amazing.
I'm deep. So if anybody has questions, I'm
Mike.
super deep.
Learn. Let's do a.
Check it out.
Yeah.
We can do a
AI
session.
day.
Next GRID meeting.
AI did. Yeah, it's pretty insane what the things I used to do manually that I can ask Claude to do. Claudia, I call her.
Her.
Yeah, Claudia, myself, and she is fantastic. And and the best thing about Claudia, she doesn't get mad at me when I ask her to do something and I did the wrong thing. And then I'm like, hey, you know what? I screwed up. I need you to do something. I need you to do it this way. She just does it. It's great.
There's like mistakes though.
Yeah.
I've got mistakes.
Oh yeah. There's always mistakes. He's mistakes.
And you have to use your brain.
Yeah, you have to use it. Oh my gosh, yeah. It really just helps with the heavy lifting of like just the design or the data gathering or parsing the data to make sense of it. And I found, I don't know, it just really, it saves a lot of time for me. So I wanted to look at an analysis on a property, and I'm hoping that I got everything in here correctly. Let's just see. So this is a property that was sent over by Ian, and it's actually in Sun Prairie. It's $330,000 what I'm thinking that this thing is worth. I did an analysis on it, and so I apologize, I just was running numbers on it at $225,000 for the entire remodel after doing this. And this, this is what we do every day when we're doing remodels. We're constantly looking at what each one of these are going to cost. And I actually, before I'm going to sit down and tell you this. So you guys can see how it's done. But I'm going to show you that on this roof is probably going to cost us $25,000. Siding is probably $15,000. Windows are roughly $15,000 in this building, I would say. And actually here, I'm going to show you, this is how we start. Boys, come on. Dogs are a little bit crazy today. This is the property that we're dealing with. It has asbestos siding. So it's likely we're going to need to get it removed. Maybe able to go over it. If the siding is in good shape, a lot of these asbestos siding that we had downtown, we just leave it in because if it's a rental, it's almost bulletproof. That siding is just great. But if it's a single family home that we can't rent and we can't buy it as a good cash flowing rental, it probably has to go.
How much does that cost?
So asbestos siding to remove is probably $10,000 by the time you're done with it. You may be able to disclose, and we have, like just disclose that there's asbestos siding underneath it and go over top of it is another real way to do it. And likely that might be the best path in this particular home because we have to look at cost benefit, which is actually what I'm going to show you.
Well, what's the cost to put over a new siding?
Really it's just the cost of the siding. So like this one I had, when I was running the budget on this one, I like $15,000, that's probably the cost of new siding. Let's just put in $10,000 for landscaping.
It's tough to get away with siding and roofs for less than $12,000. Like, unless it's tiny, like microscopic, $10,000 is kind of like the benchmark. Would you agree?
For siding, almost, yeah.
Same
It's
with
kind of like
roofs,
foundations. Like you're just not going to bring in an excavator and a concrete guy for under $25,000. It just doesn't happen. So like you could build a 600 square foot house in there, and like your foundation is $25,000. And that's just the way it is.
That's what it costs to get out of bed.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, that's why you get economies of scale to some degree when you're building a little bit bigger house. Kitchen in this thing, let's just say it's $15,000. Bathrooms, there's probably one in here, I think. So let's just gonna say, because we don't have a lot of interior, we don't really know much about this house, we're gonna just make some assumptions. $10,000 for the flooring, and this is just, I've done this so many times that I know these numbers within a couple $1,000. Drywall and painting, let's just say we have to do a lot in there. It's probably gonna be $10,000.
When you go into a kitchen and a bathroom, depending on what you're doing in the bathroom, but typically, like if you're replacing cabinets and appliances in a kitchen, you're not getting away for less than $8,000. Yeah, like it's just, and this seems like something that we're gonna have to do nice and all new. So if you're gonna have, you paint over stuff, it's gonna be cheaper, obviously. But like if we're redoing a kitchen, if the kitchen's big, like $15,000 is kind of like, that's like the get-in price. And then same with the bathroom, $15,000 is kind of expensive, but if you're doing it really nice, or if you have to take it down,
I think if there's one bathroom, I think we can get it done for 10. So we'll do that, and then I'm gonna have some miscellaneous in here. So just look, I remember I had 225, I threw it as a number. Right now we're at 214,000. And then I'm just gonna put another $10,000 in there for miscellaneous. And I have 10,000 in for miscellaneous, and we're at, where am I at there? Did not go. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Jimmy goodness, it's not that encouraging.
Does anybody here use Excel or Google
I
Docs?
prefer Excel. I don't use Google Docs.
Use Google Docs all the time. Excel's better.
Yeah, and every time you send me something in Google Docs, I immediately download it and train it into there.
I used to use, I was a heavy Excel user, and it took me a while to adjust to Google Docs, but it's just because it's shareable as it is.
Yeah, the problem is I'm so used to it and I'm so good at it that just switching over at this point.
Yeah, it took me a while too. So, repair costs right now I have at 144. We don't have any landscape, well, I guess we do have patio landscaping, probably a little bit light on our budget, but I mean, it's reasonable. So let's run with this number at 140, 144. That means the way that we analyze properties is we constantly look at the ARV, that's the number we do it off of, and then we look at it as a percentage of the ARV that we're willing to pay minus the construction costs.
Because that percentage off is your profit.
Yeah.
It's cost to sell it, which is around 8%, depending on how you sell it, but around 8% to sell it, and then the rest of it's your profit margin for taking on that risk.
What we typically say is, when I'm talking to sellers, the bottom line is I need to make 12% on a real estate investment to even consider doing it. And the smaller the house in the remodel, I should say, the smaller the house and the sale price, the more that goes up. Because I'm not going to do an $80,000 house for 12%. It's just not worth me getting out of bed. It's the same kind. So it's either usually a $25,000 marker. I need to see 25 grand as a profit margin, or 12%. And typically, the more remodel that I have to do, the higher that percentage goes. So, because what happens is, in any remodel, the more you have to take on, the more risk that you have that something goes wrong. Much like this property in Siena. Like, the more I know that I'm going to take on, if it's going to be a $300,000 remodel, it's probably going to be a $400,000 remodel. It's just the way it goes. And we're hoping for the best, but it doesn't always work that way. So in this particular case, I would have this contingency budget's roughly $20,000, but that's really just miscellaneous. I'm going to throw a contingency in here. If I can spell, which I can. And we're going to do another 20 grand there. That'll help. So now we're at 164. At 65%, my offer goes in at $50,000 on this property.
Which they will respond.
Who's gonna accept?
Yeah.
Who's gonna accept that?
Okay.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
You got them out of talk.
yeah.
You know, you got to be able to talk and feel like.
Let's be real. This is in Sun Prairie. This is in Sun Prairie. So likely I'm not offering 65%. That's where our benchmark is. That's where we like to be. But let's look at a couple more things I want to put in. Month of holding cost says 3. If we're doing a remodel at this amount, it's going to take us 6 months. I'm going to say that the real estate commission on this is 6% as well. And then we're going to look at the flip and hold analysis. This is what this turns into, right? The way I have this done is basically, here's our buy price that we have slotted. If we were to get a discount on that buy price, it looks like these things got flipped around. Let's see for some reason. We'll just go back to it. So if we were to pay 10% more, pay $55,000, or 10% less, pay $45,000, the numbers shake out down here, right? So $81,000 is what I would make on this at 36%. So that's a pretty great deal for us. $81,000 on that investment. That's likely something that we certainly would take, but we probably don't buy that house at that price because there's just other investors that are going to pay more. Why? Because it's in Sun Prairie. And what I find in Sun Prairie is typically we're going to have to pay to get it to go. We're going to have to pay somewhere around 75% in Sun Prairie. Maybe even 80. But I don't like paying 80 because it gets skinny. So at 75%, we're paying $83,000 for this property. Sale price is $330. Here are all of our costs, and our net profit margin is $48,000.
And how skinny, and it can get super skinny super fast. Because like we were up $100,000 on this Lake Geneva property. Like just imagine what happens if you're up 20 grand here. You're losing 20 grand now. You've done this entire flip for $18,000 profit or $28,000 profit, but you're spending. You're essentially risking $140,000 plus whatever you're putting down. So it's like, where is the opportunity cost? What is it worth? When does it become viable to actually invest in something Because you could probably do this in Beloit and not make 80, make $30,000, and take on way less risk with your budget in general. So you kind of got to determine that. There's a lot less certainty in Beloit. Houses move less fast. Some areas more desirable.
Depends.
So depends.
Yeah. So here's this is an interesting dynamic because there's two situations that can be true and basically alternative options at the same time. So buying a cheap house for less margin is typically a little less risky, right? But the problem is if you have to replace a roof on a cheap house and there's 25 grand, the house doesn't go up in price. So you can make up that $25,000 on a house that's going to be 400 grand. But if the house is only going to be worth $220 when you're done, you got to spend $25,000 on that roof. In Madison, that $25,000, you had more margin built in because that house was worth 400 grand, and you probably had 14, 15, 18% margin in there. So that 25,000 is, you're going to chew up some of your margin, not all of it. Now, in a bigger house, you're like, okay, well, I've got more margin. I've got $100,000 in profit, but now you've got a big ass roof, and that roof is 50 grand, and you just ate off half your margin. So the risk is, it follows you just about through every type of investment, and so you need to understand what it is and understand the potentials of that risk coming to fruition. Whether it's a furnace, you replace a furnace in a rental house in Beloit, and you're getting $1,500 in rent, and your cash flow is $300. You put $5,000 into a furnace, you're not making up that furnace for a very long time, right? And so, you do that in Madison, and it's $2,800 in rent. You can make it up a little bit faster. So that dynamic really, it moves almost in a parallel circuit with each property. It's not like, oh yeah, well I'm getting a lot more money in this particular house, well the expenses are a lot higher. So it's an interesting dynamic, and it's one that you need to understand the risks of, because each one of them seems like they're a solution, but in the end it can be also be a problem. So I don't know if that makes sense.
John, did you say your cutoff is 12% and 25,000?
Yeah, pretty much. If I'm not making 12%,
And that's after doing this analysis, or after actually going to see it, see what it actually means?
yeah. So if the property, well, here's the thing. I most always go to see the property no matter what. If the seller is seemingly unreasonable, I still try to get to the property, because you never know what they're going to say when you get there. I mean, I've had people tell me that they want $300,000 for their house and they're taking a penny less, and we buy it for $175. So it's just like, a lot of times they don't know what they don't know. They don't realize that the stuff that's happening in their house is going to cost them way more money than they realize. So I just recently had an appointment, and the lady said, oh yeah, it's just some carpet and paint. And I'm like, all right. And then I started walking around. I'm like, do you see your windowsills? They're totally rotted out. And I look in the basement, and you can see their floor joists are sagging. I'm like, this is a structural issue. Start pointing out things that are problems. And I always tell people, I do not need to buy your house. I'm here to help you understand the value of your home. And if you want to sell your house, I will help you sell it either as a retail sale, and we'll list it on the market, or I'll buy it as an investment. But I always tell people at the same time, I'm buying it as an investment to make money. And if I can't make money, I can't buy it. That's the bottom line. And then I'll show them, I always say that we need to make 12%. That's a guarantee, and that's the low end, absolute minimum. And your house is worth, or to buy and sell a piece of real estate, it's going to cost me 12%. So no matter what, I'm 24% off of what you think it's worth today. So let's just say you think it's worth $300. I'm going to buy it for 24% less than that, and that's before I put a dollar into it. That's I just got to put it back on the market. Mm-hmm. So and then I've got expenses, and they'll be like, I know you got to make money. Okay, great. So you got to understand how that money gets made, and I can back into what it is that's going to cost them, so that they can start saying, oh, if I'm going to get $300, I gotta put it in the furnace, and I gotta paint the house. And one of the big things, and you guys have heard me say this before, deferred maintenance is the kiss of death for every real estate investment, because people just expect the house to be functioning to buy it. So I don't get any real value out of putting a roof in. I just lose value if it's not done.
Can you define deferred maintenance?
Yeah, so deferred maintenance would be, a roof, siding, windows, furnace, electrical, anything that just functions inside the house to make it a livable home. If one of those things is dilapidated to a point that it absolutely has to be repaired today, the only thing it's doing is subtracting from value. It doesn't, sure, you put new windows in, does it add value to the house? No. But if they're destroyed, like, people look at it as that's going to be a $30,000 expense. I need to take that on the price, period. If there's a roof that's leaking, it just needs to be repaired and replaced. And it's expected that a house has a roof that's not leaking. So again, you put $35,000 roof on, you're not adding $35,000 to the price. Very different if it's a kitchen that you just remodeled and that kitchen was functioning before. Everybody expects a functioning kitchen, but now I put one in that's beautiful and it's modern and it feels brand new. Well, that automatically has extra value to it. That's something that people can touch and feel and realize, oh man, this has got a brand new kitchen. They'll buy that and that value of that home goes up.
What are some other things that have that value?
Well, and the easy ones are like carpet, paint, so your flooring, your paint, your lighting. Those are all ones that just like people come in and it gives them the intrinsic feel that there's something new and fresh. The one that people really overlook that makes houses feel brand new is trim doors. You come into a house and it's got new trim and doors. When we started putting in new trim and doors in houses back when I was flipping 40 houses a year at Property Revival, that difference made appraisers appraise our house against new construction. They would come in, they'd look at it and be like, oh, it's got all new doors, all new trim, it's, new roof, new windows, or at least it's a newer roof and newer windows. We didn't even have to do the windows and the roof, but if they were newish, they would look at it and be like, oh, we were starting to see our appraisals for these purchases when we were selling them, they would be copying them against new construction in the area. And otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten the values that we needed to sell them at that time because there was so much the devaluation that was happening in the market was so great that the only really way to get the higher end value was for them to go out and compete against newer homes.
I think another decent place is some curb appeal. You get kind of carried away with like the landscaping. Landscaping is more expensive than you think, but like mulch, nice flowers in a flower bed. It's almost like lighting. It's like a flower bed, dirt, nice flowers outside can really make people. When they buy these things, it is like an emotional response essentially. So you want to invoke good emotion when they first walk in and when they first see the house. That's why all these things have a real tangible effect, and it's not like dollar for dollar. You spend $1 on the floor and you get $2 in value. It's not really important. It's something.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is understanding where you can get the value. You don't need to put in high-end hardwood. And actually, when you think about like, oh, I'm going to save these hardwood floors and I'm going to re-sand them and finish them. Well, it's like $5 a square foot to do that. You could buy engineered hardwood for $3 and get it put in, and it's going to feel brand new. Whereas sanded older floors, that's just not the style people are looking for, and it can be more expensive actually than because people are like, oh, I'm going to save these floors.
Did you just do that? Is that what that's about?
No, I do that. I would never take out a hard. It's just like one of my.
I know I used to do that too.
Dude, hardwoods
In my
are
heart,
timeless.
like a
I used to do it too. I have
a
stopped.
real tree.
Well, you don't take them out, right? Just go over the top.
Yeah,
That's why I love that.
It depends. If I keep a buffing coat, I'll always do that. I'll
We
always.
did save the hardwood at 304, and it looks great.
It looks great. It's and honestly, they're super hard and super durable, but it's more expensive typically.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
John's a cold, unfeeling robot. So hardwood floors, I'm
But I feel like there are some things like if I went to go buy a house, it was the original hardwood floors. That would be like
Hot
something
take?
that's
I would carpet over.
that's sold. What?
Super hot take.
I prefer carpet, yeah, sorry.
Well, so carpet. So preference is carpet.
Don't listen to this man.
That's great, that's great.
Yeah. So that's not a value add though. Like that's preference.
No, for sure, that just,
Which is fine. People have
throwing
preference.
it out there, the hot take.
Like if we bought our house,
Yeah.
one of the main things was the hardwood floors.
I love hardwood floors.
Some people love old homes. Like I'm a
For
old
sure.
home lover.
For sure. I was gonna say, it seems like.
Yeah, and that certainly is viable in certain areas, right? Like
Like I think Madison.
if you're in Madison, you're a lot of times going to get hardwood floors that are that people want to see. If you get existing hardwood floors, people want it.
Don't go to Shorewood and put a carpet.
No.
Don't do that, all right?
And I don't even put carpet in mine. To be fair, I only do rentals. I'm not like
Yeah.
looking for I just want value. So now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do a lot of carpet in rentals because
Tenants just growing with their pets. That's why I take them out.
yeah. So I mean, I'm usually doing an LVT. I don't love LVTs. If I can avoid them, I try to.
I get back really cheap, so I don't do them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
All
I think they're
If you don't want them.
what you do is low VOC paints, and LVT floor is like the highest VOC. They're awful. They're just a horrible health risk. So I try my best not to use them.
Did you say health risk?
Yeah. Because they're just a high VOC. The way that they make that plastic, it's like China shit.
Interesting.
Excuse me. It's not good.
Not LVP.
LVP.
Yeah.
LVP is not good.
What do you use instead in rentals?
Well, in rentals, they have some low VOC stuff. In rentals, a lot of times this low VOC vinyl is what I'm doing.
Sure.
This roll vinyl. But the LVP planks.
Like even in a kitchen and stuff.
Yeah, I mean we're doing tile. I do hardwood. I try my best to use hardwood. We get engineered hardwood at really affordable prices, and I try my best to use it, even in kitchens. But in my rental stuff, I still, especially if it's like Beloit, we do a lot of it.
Yeah.
You have to do what's economical. You have to do what fits the investment. So I'm a little cold in that regards. You gotta do what's right for the investment, or you're not gonna make the investment. That's the thing. And if I was Diane Hendricks, I would remodel houses for $1.3 million and I'd sell them for $700,000. I don't have Diane Hendricks money, so I can't do that. But it's amazing. I was actually down there just recently with my brother, and I couldn't believe, I was showing him some of these houses, and there's, half a dozen houses right on Park Street that she's done that she spent, $300,000 to $400,000 more than the house was sold for, which is great. I mean, if you have that kind of money, but we don't, us as investors, we don't have that. We have to
Diane
make sure-
Hendricks, the owner of ABC Supply, Diane Hendricks, buys and flips houses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's actually got a
It's
show,
just like a
Flipping
design
Beloit,
that she just does it
Building
for
Beloit,
fun.
I think it's called.
Yeah, she also has like.
We actually
commercial
flipped the
real
house
estate.
right next to one that she
She's like
did.
changed.
She literally spent $1.3 million
Yeah,
on
for
the
sure.
house.
Like
She sold it
now
for
she's just, like,
$700,000.
renovating.
We bought the one right next door while they were doing it, and they were doing
Yeah,
videos and
yeah.
filming it right there.
Well, to be
Maybe it's a
fair,
design,
she's
more
got
like design.
the lowest
They have
margin
show.
ever on all the
Yeah.
material she uses. She
I've
sells
heard
all
that.
the contractors, so she's probably getting all the deals for their work too.
Oh yeah, I mean she's the wealthiest woman in the United States, or one of the top 5, or so all kudos to her. I mean, like that's if you have that kind of money to be able to revitalize a neighborhood, freaking do it. And that's her backyard, and she believes in it.
Her opportunity costs a lot bigger than ours.
Yes,
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
In the city, it's all good. You can kind of do that.
Yeah. So, but again, getting back to this property, this $83,000 purchase price is probably where we would land, and it's maybe $48,000. Now, how do you present an offer like that to a buyer? Because she's looking at her house and probably assessed. I think it was the assessment on here.
Yeah, it's actually.
So it's currently assessed at 153. So this makes it a little bit easier. But many times it's assessed near its value, and they're like, "What? It's worth $300,000." Well, it's not. Here's why. And then I have no problem showing sellers exactly what I'm doing. Like, would you do this for anything less? If you were me, are you gonna? I'm essentially buying your problem, and I'll say that. Like, this is a problem for you. I buy people's problems all the time. And in order to buy your problem, I need to make a profit, and one that's reasonable for the amount of money that I'm spending on it.
You said the assessed value is usually right around the sale.
No.
Never, right? Okay.
Can be. No, if it was recently sold, if it was sold within the last few years, and a lot of like Madison's and Dane County's properties have been reassessed up in value.
Now there.
Yeah. So like this Sun Prairie property to still be assessed at 153 is a bit of a surprise. It usually, like these days, I see them being within 15 to 20% of the property.
Okay.
And that's, I mean, I'd say that's fairly close for assessed value. You know, right now this one's assessed at 153. This lady's probably owned this property for a very, very long time.
Sure.
And the cities are somewhat respectful of that. Like, they don't necessarily, at least in some areas, Dade County can be fair if they're a little bit more aggressive. But again, how do you present this to a potential seller? You really, for me, and you're probably have a lot of experience with this. Did you mind sharing how you present this to a seller?
Me?
Kevin,
Well,
think about maybe not this scenario exactly, but like scenarios that you've dealt with.
Yeah, I go in and, like I said before, I give them the options. Being the realtor, I say, you can, well, some of the questions you asked about what do you think it's worth, and here's what I can do. I can bring in an investor that would go through what you just went through, or if we list it on the open market, which a lot of people are leaning towards that just because around here, not like in Madison, the prices are so high that they think, well, my neighbor's house sold for 400, I'm gonna get 400. Well, then I'm like, well, here's what you need. You need this, 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 and this. So I just show them the options and like which one works for you, and then I just see if it can work.
Yeah, and that's similar to what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, I use our brokerage name as our pitch. Like, I went with Exit Realty, and really my job is to determine the best exit strategy for you. Sometimes that's like, some people, like, the last thing they want is to put it on the market and have people walk through the house and see the shambles that's in. And they're like, I just don't want anybody to come through here. Okay, great. If that's the case, then selling it to an investor or somebody like me that's going to write you a cash offer and just be done, it's probably your best bet. If that's not the case, I also have people that will come in here and clean it up so that you don't have to show it in its condition. So we can, come in, trash this thing out, just get all the junk out of here, maybe do a quick, clean, light clean, and just show it as basically it is. And then you can fill out a condition report saying that you haven't lived here, or if it's an air sales, like where it's, we're like, hey, we've never lived here, they have an attorney kind of draft something that just says we can't really represent the property in its condition. But that's one of the other ways that you can do it. And then for me, it's always, what are you looking for? Are you looking for the highest net number, or are you looking for the easy button? And it's usually some blend between that. I want an easy button, I want to get more money. Okay, great. Well, then how do we navigate that? And ultimately, what I try to do is be as transparent as possible. Like, this is what I can do. This is what I would make. This is why I would make this. This is the budgets. And where people maybe have a tendency to disagree with me is what construction costs. Because everybody, like, if you're selling a house and you feel like, your flooring and your paint's going to only cost $3,000. I'm not going to get somebody to walk in the front door for $3,000. Like, it's crazy. And then all of a sudden they start getting bids back. I'm like, here, I'll send over a contractor, and they'll start giving you some bids, and they're like, whoa. And then they'll be like, I have another contractor, can I use him? Sure, go get bids from him. Holy crap, he's hired. Like, the cost is the cost. And it's interesting for me, like, as I do like roofing bids, I have half a dozen roofing contractors that I use. And I'll send 3 of them out to some job, and they're all within like $2-3 grand of each other. Like, on a big job, $35,000. They're all within, 36 to 37, 30. So, questions?
Do you have like a strategy, like when you get a lead, because the number is so low, sometimes, like, do you have a strategy of like when you present that number? Like, do you go through like, these are all the things and then you give the number, or like,
Yes.
do they ask you for a number on the phone?
Yes, so all of the above. So I adjust my strategy based on the feel at the appointment. Some people are just like, they want a number right away, and I'm not going to fight that. And usually I'll give them what I would consider to be like a higher number for them to be like, is this a number that you guys would consider? And I usually give them a little bit higher. Like, I'm going to try to go on the high side, because if you're going to give me no chance to really evaluate this with you, I'm going to just give you my best potential offer, and that may change. So if I think it's 150, I would say, probably the best I could do is maybe 170 grand, but I have to really look and get a little bit tighter, and it could be as low as 130, and then maybe we settle at 150.
So that's like pre-appointment.
Yeah, well, pre-appointment, I usually am not the one talking to them. I usually have my team is setting up the appointment, and they're instructed really not to give them any numbers, because they don't know. They'll talk through like the remodel with them. They'll ask them questions about the condition of the home. But they basically say, I don't have enough information to give you a real number. We will ask them, is there a number that they feel that they need to leave the home? And sometimes it's $2 million, well, they give you the keys. Here's the keys. I'm sorry, but your home's only worth like $300,000.
Oh.
But if you get to $2 million, I'll leave today.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think if I follow my like typical process, the typical process that I have is when they're asking me for a number right away, I will say, I really need to look at the house and I need to give an evaluation of what I feel the remodel cost is going to be, and I need to make a market analysis. I likely will go back to my car and I'm going to need to run the numbers based on the comparables that I already have, make sure that they really represent the property that we thought this was going to be, because we'll do a full evaluation before we go. But once I get into the property, it may not be exactly what I thought it was. And then of course the remodel budget almost always changes. So my process with them as I walk into a home is, I'd like to walk with you. Typically I sit down at the table first and just have a conversation with them. What's your motivation to sell? What are you looking for? How can I really help? And I'll have that dialogue first. And then I'll say, hey, let's take a look at the house. And then I'll go look around and I'll take pictures and I'll be writing notes. And then I'll say, hey, I really need to go back to my truck and I need to do a full evaluation of the numbers that I've got. I've got to look at the comparables that I have and see if they are in fact comparable to your property. And then I'll bring my computer back in and I'll have an offer written up and I'll have comparable properties and I'll have this analysis right there. And I'll go through the offer basically from backwards to front. And what my first thing is like who we are and why we're building. Like I read a line on the back of our offer. It basically says, I'm a professional real estate buyer and I'm buying your house below full market value. Like that's basically the first thing I say. And then I tell them that we have basically no contingencies in the offer. It's cash. We don't do an inspection. We pay all your closing costs. So you're not going to have any real estate fees, no title fees, everything we pay. And then I go back through the offer and show them that don't have contingencies, and then I finally get to the price and I say, this is the number. And then I shut the fuck up and listen. Sometimes they kick me out of the house. Like, that's not even close. I mean, I've never been kicked out of the house, but they're like, that's not even close. And a lot of times, I mean, many times, they're like, yeah, because you think you can come up a little bit? Well, what is a little bit? Or sometimes they'll be like, oh, that's way off. Well, what's way off? $4,000. $4,000. It's really an interesting dynamic every time. Just recently, I got a house under contract that I spent the time with the gal. I knew she had 2 other appointments with other buyers, and I said, hey, I'm going to wait to give you an offer. I need to do a full analysis, and I'll give you a call after those other appointments. And I called after the other appointments. I went through my offer with her and her daughter over the phone, and they were like, oh, we were really hoping that you were going to be the lower offer, but you're higher. And I asked like 4 or 5 times, what was the other offer? How much higher do I need to be? And finally, she's like, we'd really like to be, I think it was $355 or something. It's $5,000 more than I'd offered. I'm like, if I did $5,000 more, would you guys sign the offer? And they said yes. And then I sent them the offer to sign, and they couldn't get it on their computer, and they just couldn't make it work. So I just got the car and I drove over there and I had it signed. So like, and it was funny because I was on the phone with Candace. She was helping me like get the documents over to them as we were talking. And Candace is like, how about you guys just come into the office tomorrow and sign it? I was like, nope, I'm on my way. Like, I went right over there and got it done because I knew that they were ready to go. And the last thing I need to do is have them think about it all night and be like, maybe we'll go with the other guy. So it is a game of, persistence and confidence. Like, I know my numbers are, I know what the other guys are likely going to write. Like, I know this game well enough that I can be competitive. And when I speak with the clients clearly and explain what we are doing and they gain their trust, usually we'll come to an agreement that either it doesn't make sense for them to sell a house, or I feel like I get a really good shot at buying. And it really does come down to doing the best thing for the seller. Like, if selling me their house is not the right option for them, I'll tell them, like, man, this house is like ready to go. Why do you need to sell it at a discount? I'll get it listed and we can have it gone in 3 weeks. You're asking for this price. That price is totally reasonable on market. I can't pay that, but somebody will, and we'll list it. So, awesome. Any other questions?
You did talk about kitchens as being one of the things. Bathrooms, are they worth as much?
Kitchens and bathrooms are absolutely value add components. And depending on how you do them, you can make a lot of money off of them. You can get add a lot of value there. But if you are not smart about how you do them, you also can spend out your shorts and make no money, because you'll increase the value, but you actually spent way too much money on a kitchen to actually get the value back. Because kitchens and bathrooms are the most expensive places in the house to remodel. So understanding how to use the value to value engineer your remodel for kitchens and bathrooms is probably the most critical areas to it. Because siding, windows, doors, I mean, unless you're like picking some crazy material, the cost per square foot is what it is. I mean, unless you're putting on a steel roof or you're getting, barring windows for your house, which you shouldn't do when you're going to flip, your cost is going to be the cost. But in a kitchen, depending on, you can put soapstone countertops in at $180 a square foot, or you can use a nice quartz that's beautiful and do it at 60, 80. And the value that you're going to get out of the house is not going to change. So you really need to be cost effective with the right types of products to gain the value and not spend too much getting there. Even like linoleum or laminate countertops these days, laminate countertops, you do it right. You should look in that kitchen. On the other side, I have a laminate countertop in there that does not have a backsplash on it. So it looks just like that quartz countertop there. It's just cut off at the back. It doesn't have that rolled backsplash. It looks gorgeous. So if you do it right, you can make things look really high end without spending the money to do them. And like I would, in a $400,000 house, it's gonna have quartz. But a $250,000 house in Beloit, it's not gonna have quartz. And so understanding again the upgrade that you need to do to get value from that particular house is critical. But again, those are like, if you're in a group like this and you're speaking with me or Michelle or Lonnie, we've been doing this for a long time, and we know we can. I have direct manufacturer relationships for countertops, for laminate countertops, where we cost Menards junky laminate countertops would be $1,200, and you could buy them from me for $600, and they're way better. So that's part of what I'm trying to bring in this group. And the same thing with cabinets. We have a really great, these cabinets you see are ProCraft. They're a full plywood cabinet, dovetail drawer boxes, soft close glides, and they're probably 70% of the cost of that cabinet, similar cabinet at Home Depot runs. And they'll be 4 to 6 weeks to get it, and I can get it in 2 months.
Direct from manufacturer?
Direct from manufacturer, yeah. And I've been building those types of relationships for 25 years. So it's a little bit of a wonkiness and a little bit of bullshit because you have to have them delivered here and you have to get them somewhere because they can't deliver them to your job site. But it saves you money. It saves me money. It's funny because Michelle was working with another cabinet company and she sent me a bid. And she's like, "Oh, they're so easy to work with." I'm like, "I know they're easy, but they're double the cost." So no.
He didn't like that.
Yeah. So and honestly, it's great. We want to always check out new vendors because you never know when you find a good fit. And certainly, I don't know. There's so many things in this business yet that I got to learn, and I've screwed up just recently in a couple of projects. So I was like, "Oh, I think we can get away with not doing this or doing that," because the market was so hot. The market cooled off a little bit, and now you're kind of back to where we were 8 years ago, where it's like, you got to do it right. You got to have everything done. There's not 15 people bidding on the houses anymore. You can't just kind of slide it together and have somebody buy it. For many years, the last 5 years, you could just kind of get the house ready a little bit, put it on the market, and somebody would buy it. They'd be okay with having to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. That's kind of gone away in the last 6 months. Have you seen that as well?
Yeah.
So, and it's not that we weren't doing things right, it's just we were only doing so much. It's like, oh, I don't have to do that, I don't have to do this. well, somebody will buy it anyway. We won't spend as much, we'll sell it at a little bit cheaper and probably create a bidding war, and somebody will, now that there's just not as many buyers in the market, and we're sitting on some houses that I did not think we would sit on. And that was my miscalculation. As the market changes, you gotta make sure you change with it fast and before it does. So, we'll still make money on it, but it's like, man, we're gonna make 60, now we're gonna make 35. We can sit around, chat a little bit, love to chat with you a little bit about what you're doing, you know, mingle, have a beer, chat with anybody else here if you have further questions, or come to me directly, I have to answer any individual questions.